What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward, what's happening with other factors involving Tesla, and what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I break things down all this information, before I get into any more details and give you guys some price predictions for Tesla for tomorrow, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon in just 3 days. Anyways, for Tesla, I just want to call out that right now we have a very, very important range. Tesla has resistance close to our 20 EMA at this 185 area. Breaking this would open the doors for more potential upside, and losing 183, which is where our 50 EMA is very close to, would open the doors for a lot more downside to fill a lot of these imbalances down here. So the question is, what's going to happen to the chart? I want to talk about some data first before I break this down. As you guys know, tomorrow is going to be Thursday, June 20th, 2024. 1 hour before the market ends up opening, we have initial jobless claims coming out. We have data coming out from the Philly Fed involving employment and new orders, and also prices paid. That's going to be very important for inflation, especially the new orders data. It's very forward looking. So we'll be watching to see what this causes 1 hour before the market opens. I'll be back tomorrow morning as this data is coming out just to report this. And this is going to cause some volatility in the markets, at least for the market open and for beyond that. So that's going to be very important for us moving forward. So we'll see how things end up going with that. Once again, tomorrow, an hour before the market opens. And we also have some bill auctions coming out at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see what this leads to as well. Bill auctions do cause some volatility, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing too crazy coming out for tomorrow except for the early morning data. Now, for the overall sentiment, the market is still greedy. Okay, we're still seeing buyers stepping in. They're still pushing the market higher, but there's also fear building up simultaneously. This is a very, very ironic part because right now the market keeps going higher and higher. Now investors are a little bit worried about how high it's going to go. Is there going to be some kind of crash? People are starting to talk about that. That's becoming a kind of like a norm right now, and that's why fear is making up a very, very strong emotion right now. But despite that, other indicators, you look at market momentum. So this is actually just based off where the market is relative to our 125 daily moving average. We're well above that because the market is so high right now. That's the reason why this is showing extreme greed. That's what's making up market momentum right now. And that is true. That's because buyers keep on defending and stepping in, and they're pushing these indicators up higher. For other factors, we also have the puts and call option positioning currently at greed. The reason why it's at greed is because we're seeing a lot more calls out there in the market relative to puts, and we're starting to see them completely dominate at least the price action. And then for market volatility, I'm going to be talking more about this in just a few minutes, but the VIX is currently below the 50 daily moving average. It is on a downtrend. I do see some more downside for it coming. However, I don't believe that the downside is going to be lasting forever as we're approaching some critical support for the VIX. Now for Tesla, I didn't see any really, really like crazy news that came out, at least for it moving forward. I did see some news about the popularity of the Model Y, but that's pretty much it. Nothing too insane. But I did see this news right here. The Cybertruck is making its way to Dubai, and it could be a police vehicle. This isn't 100% confirmed yet, but that is most likely what's going to be happening according to a lot of reports. So that's going to be very, very cool. And this would be very, very cool for the police as it's not only bulletproof, but capable of so many different functions, from having insane amounts of horsepower to lots of towing capabilities and such. So it could be a lot of uses of that. I think it's very, very cool for that to be coming out. Also, very, very, I would say it's very, very stylish as well. But very, very cool stuff. I can't wait to see how this ends up looking, and maybe other countries in the world could even adopt these as their police cars. So very, very cool stuff with that coming out. Also, this is going to help Tesla gain more popularity as it's kind of like spreading to different countries with the Cybertruck, and their models and different vehicles will continue to grow. That's something that's worth noting. For volume, we only saw about 69 million in volume. It's a little bit low volume, which is why Tesla chopped around a lot on Tuesday. And then the short volume is also going up just a bit. We're seeing a little bit more shorting on Tesla, Tesla being one of the most shorted stocks in the markets. Now, GLJ Research gave Tesla a sell rating, saying Tesla's going to likely drop even more. There's other analysts saying that Tesla has very, very low price targets. They think Tesla could drop to $50 a share. And there's others out there who are saying that Tesla is showing a lot of strength and they're very bullish for the long term nonetheless. So different investors, different analysts have completely different views. I'll break down the chart in just a minute. The price risk ratio is kind of going up just a bit. Tesla's been building some strength the last couple of days. And also relative to SPY, Tesla's starting to play a game of keep up. And then finally, Thursdays are historically green about 47.8% of the time. And we tend to see more volatility at 10 a.m. and also at noon, so watch for that for Tesla. Besides that, guys, we'll see how things go, but now let's just focus on the charts and just the charts from this point on. So what's going on with Tesla? What is my personal opinion of the share price? What do I think is going to likely happen? Well, the first thing you need to know is what the levels are for Tesla. We have 185 as our resistance at the 20 EMA. If we end up breaking through this, I think there's a good chance we could be going all the way up to this imbalance for this 188 area. And that would be very awesome to see for Tesla. Now, if Tesla turns bearish, you could interpret this as like a double top, and I've seen people kind of point that out. If we do start dipping lower, you want to be watching this lose 183. If we lose this, then we could be looking for a move all the way down to this imbalance towards 180. Right now, Tesla's in the middle, and the news is going to have a big effect on how it ends up moving. So that could make it a little bit more tricky to predict because new news comes out every single day. But looking at Tesla right now, we're in the middle where we were trying to rebound a bit. It depends if we can establish a lower high or not. But the 4 hour is starting to show some contraction. That's my big concern right here. Usually when the 4 hours shows contraction like this, we do dip a little bit lower. So we could dip a bit more for Tesla before we try to rebound, in my personal opinion. I'm going to be looking for a test of 182. So my prediction is looking at the 4 hour, and considering we have a double top here and we have this big red bar, this might lead to a bit more downside to try to fill this imbalance before we try to bounce again. But I think there might be a little bit more downside coming to Tesla before it tries to bounce as the most likely technical point of view. Because when you zoom out, yes, it could still bounce because we're still on an uptrend, technically, at least these last couple of months. When Tesla was back in the 140s, it came up. It's been slowly uptrending. If we look at the last few weeks, it's also been uptrending a bit. We had support basically at 167. We bounced all the way up to about 190, made a higher low at 176. So the trend is still to the upwards direction. And we have a nice inverse head and shoulders. So it is going to likely see a nice breakout as long as we hold above 167. So I do still favor a nice rally to be coming to Tesla as we get closer to July. However, for the short term, okay, we're still looking a little bit weaker to me, right? We have this nice, double top like structure right here, and also like over here, and also we're kind of turning right here. We've struggled to really break past 185. So I personally think that's going into tomorrow. Tesla might pop to grab liquidity around 186 in the morning, then dip back down towards 182, and then might just continue to consolidate at least as time goes on. I think that we're going to see a little dip back down to this 182 area, then move back up and just some sideways price action. I think volume is going to be a little bit slow, so Tesla's going to consolidate a lot. So I don't expect it to be too crazy, but I am seeing some potential for this to actually dip a little bit more looking at the 4 hour. Despite that, Tesla still has potential to bounce for the later time frames, so it's going to be completely fine in my opinion. How about for SPY? Is SPY going to drop? It's going to pop. Honestly, guys, looking at the chart, here's some things I want to call out. SPY is still bullish. It's still bullish because we broke the all-time high again and we ended up pushing more in the after hours. So my point is there's no sign of SPY getting a big rejection yet. There's no sign of this actually getting a big rug pull. Do I think it's going to come? Yes, I think it's going to eventually come, but not yet. There's no sign just yet. And the 4 hour is still remaining quite bullish. So if we were to lose 548.5, we'll be looking for a dip all the way down to lower levels, all the way down to the 547 flat area. And losing that is what's going to open the doors for more downside to 546. If we lose 546, that's when we're going to be looking for 544 and much lower targets for a little bit of a drop. As long as we're above that, we're going to be fine. So lose 547, I'll be watching 546. Losing that turns bearish, turns SPY bearish. If we break past 549, if that breaks, I think we're going to be going to the low 550s before we see another rejection. So in my opinion, what do I think is more probable? I think tomorrow we're going to be testing 549. If we break this, we could get close to 550, but then resistance is going to get tougher for SPY, and we'll have to be watching to see if we get a rejection or not. As of right now, the chart is still more bullish. The buyers, the bulls still have the edge. So we're going to see a bit more upside. Could we get a rug pull later? Yes, we likely will. And here's the reason why. If I go to the VIX, I want to show you guys something very important. The VIX also happens to have a gap below. So I think that SPY pushing, the market pushing a little bit higher may cause the VIX to dip down to fill this gap. But historically, the VIX loves to bounce between 12 and 11.5. It loves to do that. So I'm thinking what's going to happen is the VIX is going to dip a little bit lower because SPY is going to push higher, get very close to about 550. And then once the VIX fills this gap, there's going to be a big bounce coming. It's going to bounce very, very strongly. And I think that SPY is going to see a rug pull. Now, am I saying it's going to happen tomorrow? No, I'm not saying tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to likely go a little higher, but I think soon that is what's in the works. I do anticipate that in my personal opinion. Now, for Nvidia, Nvidia is bullish. Nvidia is still continuing to break out because we keep getting bullish news, but resistance is continuing to get tougher. I think Nvidia will do the same thing. It's going to get a rug pull soon, but we're not ready yet. And as of right now, the chart remains bullish. If we break past 136.6, look for 137. And if we lose 136, we'll be dipping down to 135. My gut tells me it's going to pop a bit towards 137 to make its way back down, all the way down to 135. So I'll be watching that very carefully. For Bitcoin is also currently at the 65,000 area. It might go a little higher towards 65,200, but the issue with Bitcoin is we're on a big downtrend. We've been making lower highs and lower lows. So look for a little rebound and a rejection as the most likely possibility. So I favor that as what's going to happen to Bitcoin. For the QQQ, and the QQQ has a very, very interesting range. If we end up losing 484, we're going to be looking for a rug pull all the way down to the low 480s. If we break past 46, watch 487 as resistance, and eventually the higher levels to a new all-time high to 488, close to 490. My gut is telling me that this is going to push a little bit higher. I think that the QQQ is going to push towards the 486s, and I think that once it reaches this level, we'll have to watch to see if you get a rejection or not. But because Apple is showing some weakness and we're starting to see some weakness in tech, we might see the QQQ actually make this lower high and actually reject. So it depends if we break past 487 or not. If we come short, then look for a rejection. If we do break it, we'll be bullish. But I think we're going to be testing very close to it. I think we're going to push a little bit higher, get very close to the 486s, come very close to 487, and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. But the QQQ, like I said, it's not looking as strong as SPY to me. So that's what I'm looking for. A little push. It's going to push a little higher tomorrow, but watch and see if you get a rejection just under either 487 or not. If we do break it, then yeah, we could keep going. But my guts tells me it's going to be some tough resistance, and we have to be very patient and watch it. So just wait and see, guys. Apple, to me, is showing some weakness because we had this high here, we came down, made a lower high. And you could also interpret it this way. We have kind of like a double top here. We had this high up here, came down, made a lower high, and we're continuing to downtrend. So with the hourly time frame, it does kind of resemble a head and shoulders. We have resistance at this 215 area. If we break this, I'll be looking for 216 plus. With this head and shoulders, I think there's a very good chance we might be dipping back down towards 212 and eventually 210. So I favor downside as a stronger possibility. I think that's more likely, at least for Apple. Now, with that being said, that's it for the main five. I went over my analysis for Tesla and the others. So now I'm just going to focus on the rest of the tickers and do a speed run. So looking at Neo has a nice small bullish divergence, but it's completely range bound. Watch 4.5 is resistance. If this breaks, look for 4.7. If we lose 4.3, we're dipping even lower towards 4.2. I think we're going to trade sideways for now, but there might be a little push for 4.5 coming. For Palantir, we're looking bullish, and I think we're going to be testing this high right here that I marked. Let me show you in 1 second. In the 4-hour time frame, we basically have this high all the way up at the 26 area. I think we might be pushing all the way up to 26.25 to 26.5, and then we'll be watching to see if we get a rejection on, but look for a bit more upside and see what it ends up doing from there. For Super Micro, we are looking a bit more bullish because we are on an uptrend right here, and we're going to likely test this high at 940. If that breaks, look for 975, but off one of those levels, I do think it's going to reject. So either it goes up to 940 and then rejects, or it goes up to 975 and then rejects. Look for more upside, then look for a potential rejection after that. For Rivian, we're actually turning on the 4-hour time frame. I think there's going to be a test of 11.16. If that breaks, we'll be looking for a nice push back up towards 11.6. But I see a little bounce coming to Rivian, just a temporary push for 11.16. And we'll see if it rejects or not, but look for a little upside as the most likely possibility. For SoFi, we're showing some weakness on the 4-hour. It depends if we establish a lower high or not, so there's going to be a big test coming. I see this dipping towards this support over here around 6.35 is going to be likely be tested. If we establish a higher low, look for a rebound to 6.5 and even higher. If we lose 6.3, we turn bearish. So look for a dip and possibly a bounce as if we hold support. I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. The IWM Russell 2000 is on a downtrend. As you guys can see, it's been making lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So I think that it's going to go a little higher just temporarily to retest our key EMAs. 202.5 to 202 is going to likely be tested. Also, as we have these resistance levels right here, but we might be looking for a rejection if we fail to break 202.5. Break 202.5, and I think 204 is coming. We might, if we end up coming short, we're going to be looking for a rejection back down towards 198. My gut tells me it's going to go a little higher, so watch to see if we get a rejection or not, but there's going to be a big test coming. For AMD, the chart on AMD, on the 4 hours is looking a little bit more bearish. We're at this support right here, which is where this imbalance was at 153. Losing this opens the doors for the next level at 150. I favor it coming down to 150 very soon, so I'll be watching for that. It could get a bounce off that, so watch for that carefully, but there's going to likely be a bit more downside. ARM looks very bullish with nice volume coming in. I'll be looking for 175 and 180 as resistance and see if we get a rejection off one of those levels, but I do see a little bit more upside coming for ARM. For Coinbase is also on a bit of a downtrend. We're showing some weakness here. We have a double top leg structure, and we also have an imbalance all the way down here around our 200 EMA around 230. Look for a rebound to 240, then a rejection all the way down to 230. So a little pop and drop as the most likely possibility. For Amazon, we have 183 as resistance, and we have 181.75 as support. We could rebound a bit to 183 to 184. If we break that, we'll be pushing much higher. If we can break 184, we'll turn bullish. If we close above that, if we fail to do so, then there is going to be a risk of it rejecting again. My gut tells me it's going to pop and then drop back down to the low 180s. So look for that very, very carefully and look at that as a very probable possibility. Meta is on a bit of a downtrend right here, but it's grabbing liquidity, so it's going to try to rebound. We're going to be looking for 502, if not 505. I think it's going to test this and maybe reject, so watch for that. We'll see if it rejects or not, but I do think it's going to pop a little bit higher. 502 to 505 is going to be tested, and see if you get a rejection or not. That's going to be a strong possibility. Microsoft is showing a little weakness on the 4-hour. It might dip a little bit to about 444, if not 442, somewhere between that range. That's also previous resistance becoming support. I think we're going to be dipping a little bit, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not. For Google, we have a head and shoulders. This is looking a little bit more bearish to me. If we lose 175, there's going to be a big dip coming all the way down towards at least the low 170s. So I see a head and shoulders and some bearish momentum that's building. So it's looking a bit more bearish. To invalidate this, you want to see it break 180, but it's really struggling. So I do see downside as a strong possibility. GameStop is just trading flat around the mid 20s, not really doing much. We have to break past 30 to turn bullish. Otherwise, we're just shuffling. Same thing with AMC. We need to try to break past 5.5 to turn bullish. Otherwise, we're just shuffling. The VIX, like I said earlier, is going to dip down to fill this gap, most likely because the market's going to push a little higher. But then the VIX is going to bounce between 11.5 and 12, which is what it loves to do. That's most likely going to happen. And the market will get rug pulled later once it goes a little bit higher. So there's going to be more upside for the markets, and I see a rug pull likely coming, but it may take a few days, maybe another week or two. So we'll see. The 10-year Treasury yield is tipping a bit, which is helping the market push, but we'll see what Fed speakers have to say, which will affect it. And the dollar is testing resistance at 105.28. We have support at 105.16. If we lose that, I'll be looking for a dip down to 105. It's kind of range bound, so that's going to determine if the market pushes higher or not. So I'll give it some time. We'll see how things go. Anyways, guys, that is it for the video. I hope you guys are having a very happy Juneteenth, by the way. I kind of forgot to mention that. But, it's a very important holiday. Don't forget about it and enjoy the rest of the day. We still have many, many hours left. So take care, guys. Enjoy the evening, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. For now, Tesla's looking a little weaker, might tip a bit, and we'll see if we get a bounce later on. But look for a little bit of a pop and drop like move for Tesla. It's going to likely be testing some lower levels. But like I said earlier, don't turn overly bearish. Don't think it's just going to crash because Tesla is still on a short-term uptrend since we hit 167. So watch and see if we get a little dip and a bounce. And with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow morning to break down what's going on with the next pieces of economic data. All right, so have a great day. See you guys tomorrow, and peace out.